Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. So today's review is all about the Colourpop in the Limelight collection. It is a pretty small eye collection, which are some of my favorites actually. I love when they just focus on like one category and the collection is not too big. So we do have the palette here, and I do have pretty much everything in the collection besides the Fourth Ray Beauty products, and I got everything sent in PR as well, just to let you know. But if you guys are curious about this palette, you want to see comparisons to some of their other green palettes, swatches, I also did 3 looks as well. If you guys are curious about this palette and my thoughts on it, then please continue watching. So like I mentioned, that the In the Limelight collection is mainly eye focused. So we have the 9-pan eyeshadow palette called In the Limelight. This is $14 US and it is the bigger pans. And then we also have 2 color sticks, which you can get as a duo for $12 USD, but if you want to buy them individually it is $7 US. And then we have 3 Jolly Mud shadows. Individually it's $9 US, or as a set it's $25 US. And then the Fourth Ray Beauty products, which are the ones that I did not receive, it's the Prime Lime Lip Care Duo set. So you get a lip scrub and a lip balm in a lime flavor, and this is $16 US. And I kind of wish I got this. I might add this into my cart next Colourpop order, but I love lime, I love lemon, I love sour things, I love the color green. So yeah, maybe I'll get that in my next order in the future. Who knows if it's still available. But if you would like to purchase the entire collection altogether, it is $65 USD, and I do have an affiliate code with Colourpop. It is just my name, Judy, at checkout for 10% off. I do earn a small commission if you do choose to shop with my code, but thank you in advance if you do choose to, and I really do appreciate that. But with that being said, let's talk about the Limelight eyeshadow palette. When I first saw this palette announced, I was so excited. I was hoping I was gonna get it in PR because I love green eyeshadows. Like, if I could choose my top 3 favorite colors to wear, like that's not neutrals, it would be green, pinks, and reds. Like, I just love these 3 colors. Like, something about them I just like. So when I saw another green palette, I was quite excited because it seemed like it was a bit different from their other green palettes, and I of course will show you comparisons to those other green palettes because they do have a fair few, but I don't think, like, for the color story there's really anything so lime and bright. We definitely have seen these shadows like individually sprinkled out in some other palettes, like with these lime shadows, but I think as a palette as a whole, compared to their other green palettes, I would say that other green palettes, they either go very like true green, not lime green, or they go minty green, and you might see some of these shades in those palettes, but I would say this color story is a little bit different. So if you are a fan of green eyeshadows, I think this would be a lovely addition into your collection. I do think this green palette really does scream more spring and summer vibes. So in here you'll get 5 mattes. One of the mattes do have those little sparkly glitters in there, but I would just consider that to be a matte, and the other 4 remaining shades are all metallics, and I think you get a good variation of undertones in here. This metallic up here that appears to be white, once it's on your eyes it does translate to be more of like a minty green, and then we have a lime metallic green, and then like a dirty bronzy green, and then we have that more true deeper green. So you do get a good variation of undertones, and you also get that neutral shade here as well, which is a really good base for a natural eye look. So I think overall I really enjoyed this. I like the ratio of the finishes, and I like the shades that they picked out for this palette. And then with the color sticks, we have 2 shades here. The first one is called Bright Lights, which is a metallic, and the other shade is called Bussin', which is a creamy matte. So for my eye looks in this video, I use these as like eyeliners, like cream gel liners in my waterline, so I didn't get to use them to their full capacity. So I would say, like, if you don't want to get like a full-on lime palette, these would be a good option to just add a hint of lime into your collection. However, I do prefer the Jolly Much over the color sticks if I had to choose. So here we have the 3 Jelly Mudge shadows. We have like 3 different shades. So the lightest one is called Memoir, which is the lightest sort of lime green, and then we have Heartthrob, which is more electric lime, and then the shade Sky handle is a little bit more like of a dirty bronzy green. I would say that some of these shades do look kind of similar to some of the metallics in the palette. So again, if you're not wanting like a full-on lime palette, you just want some lime shadows in your collection, these like single shadows would be perfect. And these Jelly Matte shadows are so pretty, so pigmented, and very, very metallic. But I think overall this collection was really pretty, really well done. I really enjoyed it. I just love the bright summer tropical vibe. It's so fun, and I really enjoyed all the looks that I did with it. I did create some more like subtle looks for those of you guys that don't want to like go hard out full-on lime green. Look 1 and look 2 I would say is more of a pop of limes. Alright, so hopping into the first look, I'm starting off with the shade Debut, and this is going to be the base color for this eye look. So I'm just focusing that all over my lid, and then I'll slowly blend that up into my crease. As you can see, Debut on my skin tone somewhat blends into my skin. It's not too much darker than my actual skin tone, but it's more neutral leaning, and you don't actually see this shade at the end of the look. It does help with the blending and everything. So I am going to blend that up into my crease, and then I'm also going to take that along my bottom lash line as well. Next, going into the shade Layout, I'm going to focus this at the outer corners of my eyes. This is like a mid-tone mossy green, and this is going to just help build up some depth at the outer corners. So I like to stamp it on and then slowly blend that out. And then also taking that onto a defining brush, I'm going to take that onto my lower lash line just at the outer third. Now going into the shade Palms, I did use this shade Wet just because I wanted the metallic to pop out a little bit more. But we are placing this right at the center of our eyes, right next to Layout. This is the darkest metallic in the palette, but it is a really nice like olive mid-tone. So I do blend that up into my crease, making it look diffuse, and then I'll also run a little bit of that onto my lower lash line as well, just at the center. Now taking one of the Jelly Matte shadows, I'm using the shade Memoir. It's such a pretty light lime green. I'm going to use this at the inner third of my eyes, and then I'm also going to take that into my inner corners and also onto my bottom lash line. The Jelly Matte shadows are very intense when it comes to that metallic reflective. So this as an inner corner highlight for this green look is absolutely perfect. I think it's such a pretty shade, and these Jelly Matte shadows, they will last all day because they do dry down, and I think it was the perfect inner corner highlight. But lastly, I'm just taking the color stick from this collection in the shade Bright Light. It is the metallic. I'm actually going to use this in my waterline just to match with that inner corner and also just to open up our eyes. So this, you guys, is the first look completed. Love how it turned out. I love how it's kind of subtle, like it's not too bright. I think this has a good mix of like a neutral side but with that pop of green, and I just love green eyeshadow. I was bound to like this look, so yeah, I hope you guys like it too. Alright, so hopping into the second look, I'm starting off with the shade Debut. Once again, this is going to be the base color for our eye look. It is that very light, neutral, transitional shadow, so I'm just going to apply that all over my lid and blend that up into my crease, getting that soft base going. And then I'm also going to take that onto my lower lash line as well. I'm just going to run that all over, right from the outer corner to the inner corner. Now going into the shade Layout, I'm just going to use this as the base for my wing. I'm just creating a very thin line because I'm going to take the shade After Party and I'm going to sort of mix the two shades together to create more of like a green smoky eyeliner look. This is very subtle because the green is quite muted, and then I'm going to take a mixture of the two just a little bit on my brush and then run that a little bit on my lower lash line as well, so it can look cohesive. Now going into the shade Almost Famous, I'm going to use this at the inner corners of my eyes. This is going to work as a base color for the Jelly Smudge shadow that we're going to use, but I'm going to diffuse this all over at the inner corner point. So I also take that onto my lower lash line as well. It does have a bit of little glitters in there that you can actually see when you apply, so it does help with the shimmer aspect of this eye look. And now I'm going to take the Jelly Smudge shadow in the shade Heartthrob, just taking a little bit on my brush, putting that right on top of Almost Famous at the inner corners. This is really going to just enhance those lime green tones, and like I said in the first look, the Jelly Smudge shadows are super intense and metallic, so it is going to be the perfect inner corner highlight. But that is pretty much the second look completed. I just popped on my lashes off camera. For the second look, I wanted to show you something neutral with a pop of color, and whenever I want to incorporate a pop of color, I think just putting that in the inner corners is the easiest and effective way to do so, and it looks great. It's not too overpowering. It even brightens up your eyes as well. So I wanted to show you some looks that were more on like the wearable side. So this is another one. We're gonna go all out in the third look, but I hope you guys enjoyed this second look. So finally, onto the last look. I'm starting off with the shade Miami. This is going to be the base color for the eye look, and it's the color you're really gonna see the most. So I'm gonna sweep this all over my lid space, blend that up into my crease, up towards my brow bone. I'm really just blowing out the shadow, so really diffusing this out towards the outer edges of my eye space. And I'm also gonna run that all over my lower lash line, just sweeping it from the outer corner right to the inner corner. Next, going into the shade After Party, I'm gonna focus this a little bit more onto my lid space, but as you can see, the two greens are not too different from each other. It is just giving a little bit more depth to the eye, so I'm gonna focus this mainly on the lid and blend that up ever so slightly into my crease. I'll also take this on a pencil brush and just run that along very softly on my lower lash line as well. Now I'm gonna take the Jelly Smudge shadow in the shade Scandal, and I'm gonna place this right at the center of my eyes. I only like to take a little bit of the Jelly Smudge shadows because they are so metallic and pigmented. I want this just at the center and then diffused out, so just using more tapping motions to get this blended out. And then I also take that onto my lower lash line at the center as well. Then taking Playdate, which is a similar tone of green to the Jelly Smudge shadow that we use, I'm just taking this and I'm gonna use this to kind of scatter out that metallic shadow and make it look more blended, so that way we don't see just like a stripe of metallic on our eyes. It looks very diffused and highlighted. I'm also gonna take Booked, which is more of a lime green, and I'm gonna use that at the center of my eyes and reinforce that lime a little bit more. You can't really see it with that Jelly Smudge being so pigmented, but I think it just adds a little bit more dimension. And now going into the shade Star Power, I'm gonna use this to highlight my inner corners. This is more of like a minty green, so it does have a different undertone, but it is such a pretty inner corner highlight. I think this is going to be one of my go-to inner corner highlights. I just love the shade. And then lastly, to complete the eye look, I'm just taking the color stick in the shade Bussin', and I'm gonna use that to tightline my bottom waterline. The shade Bussin' just reminds me of my like 12-year-old niece. This is what the kids are saying these days apparently. But this, you guys, is the final look completed. Of course, we had to do something very, very lime and bold and bright, just like the palette, because I think for the first two looks I kept it quite simple, just with a pop of color, but for the final look I wanted to match the palette, and I love how this look turned out. I love green eyeshadows, and the lime green is just so perfect for spring and summer. It's just so pretty, and I love how this final look turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. Alright guys, so those were my 3 looks. Be sure to let me know which look out of the 3 was your favorite down below. And also let me know what you guys think of this collection. Are you going to pick it up? Gonna skip it? I would love to know your thoughts. And if you guys did enjoy today's video and you found it helpful, if you could give the video a thumbs up for me, I would appreciate it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I love you, and I'll go ahead and see you guys in my next video. Bye!